that Sandra Bullock movie.
A Bug's Life?
No,
Was she in A
Sandra
Bug's
Bullock.
Life?
No, I don't think she was.
You call her Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, whatever the fuck her name is.
I mean, I call things bagels, so
I mean, that is true.
I wouldn't. With
But you
me,
know
I
the bitch I'm
wouldn't.
talking about. It's when she's a witch, and it's her and her sister, and like, witch, you're a bitch, and like they kill her sister's boyfriend.
Hey Siri, what was the movie that Sandra Bullock was in where she was a witch and people were yelling at her that she was a bitch? Practical Magic.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, my grandmother's turning in her grave. We used to watch that shit together all the time. But where are the ants from that movie? We're the ones that are doing midnight margaritas and fucking dancing around in the kitchen.
Welcome to Who Are You? Curious Stories of Family Lore After Hours.
The late night spook. With yours truly,
Wheatsy and
Sam motherfucking Ivy. Sam Ivy.
welcome guys. It is normally not this late when we are recording, but we are doing it today because we have crazy lives, both of us, but you know, if it's not ceilings caving in, it's people caving in.
Or
Caving
people
in
falling on their
downstairs.
asses.
Yeah, it's been a wild week since the last time we were here, which is why you heard that chaotic intro, and why there's not a scripted intro. So yeah, that whole practical magic skits pants, that's gonna be our intro. And yeah, we're gonna leave in the coughing of you ripping that in here. This is gonna be a totally unedited,
Fuck
raw,
yeah.
late night. This is who we are recording. Because before we hit record, Pants and I were sitting here reflecting on why we started. As Sam proceeds to literally hold on.
I'm
And
good. And I'm good.
my mic is flopping around. Hold on.
It's okay. Dirty
There we
Shirley's
go.
calling.
That's so funny. Oh, and Shirley. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I just got that.
Ironically, it's
Okay.
not her favorite drink. She liked whiskey sours on the rocks, but that's besides the
Oh
point.
god. Good for her. That, like, when I hear somebody's preferred drink is whiskey, I'm like, you're tough. Nails don't get
Jameson,
you.
baby. Jameson, baby.
Yeah. Nah, no. Whiskey is something I will not, and I repeat, will not fuck with. I don't give a shit if you are a world-renowned bartender, mixologist, whatever that, you know, the people who like make literal masterpieces
Yeah.
that you know, like mixology. I don't care if you are the best. If you're the Gordon Ramsay of alcoholic beverages,
But you can't
do
deny.
not. I can't deny qua. Can't deny qua.
That Jameson is best in that breakfast shot you made me back in college. That is
Oh
the
my
one time that it is acceptable because it tastes like maple syrup pancakes with
goddamn.
bacon.
Shout out to Pokey. Oh my god, I forgot that that had whiskey in it. I'm gonna
Dude, I talk about that shot all the time.
I'm gonna eat my words alive right now. I am gonna eat all of them, because a breakfast shot is one of the best things on the face of the planet. And I have to shout out Jamie, Pokey, Pokester, Pokebear, who
The
probably isn't
fucking genius
listening.
behind the mixologist. Like, goddamn, because whew.
One time she just calls me up and she's like, "Hey, have you ever had a breakfast shot?" And there's pure chaos happening in the background. She's at a bar. And I say, "No. What is that?" I'm like reading or something, probably in slippers, probably in a robe. I live in robes. I love robes.
Now, pause real quick, just to insert real quick for the fam. If you don't remember who Jamie is, or Pokey, she is the one that decided to get a dog during a hurricane, right? When you guys were driving through or some shit like that, because you
Yeah.
had to get to somewhere in 24 hours, a windshield broke,
Yep.
or windshield wipers
Yep.
broke, and all that shit. So if that interests
Yep.
you, go back a couple episodes, you can hear all about it. But that's who Jamie is as a rough little summary.
Yeah.
Back to your story.
Yes. Yes. And Jamie is also and has always been somebody who is like, if she feels like doing something, she's going to do it.
And I commend her for
Um,
that shit because that is a strong drive, and she is a tough woman, and I respect Jamie wholeheartedly.
yeah, she's wild. She's crazy. Some shit she does is questionable. She knows that. Everyone who knows her knows that, but we love her. We love her. Um, and we love her for specifically her spontaneity. And this, she calls me up and all of the chaos is going on. And she's, at this time, she's stationed at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. And she's like, hey, have you ever had a breakfast shot? I'm like, no, what's that? And she's like, it's orange juice, Jameson, and butterscotch schnapps.
Schnapps, right? Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
schnapps.
She's like, you chase it with orange juice. And then she hung up. She hung up. I was like, okay, no, that's good. So I never thought about that again. And then the next time, so I actually ended up going to Germany, like meeting her in Germany. I was studying abroad in photo school, which was fucking lit. Shout out to Shane. I picture Shane's face whenever I think of Italy. Um,
Forever envious
it,
of you doing being able to do that.
well, it was honestly like, holy shit. Right before COVID, 2019, going to Italy to study photography, analog, like basically optical theory. Oh
And
my,
like what
and
you
for
had
some,
going on in your life at the time too, like it was the perfect thing that I think that you needed. That like especially because like I know I already moved back at this point, so like I wasn't
mhm,
around, so like
yeah.
it was you more refining and redefining yourself. And I think that's a beautiful like Hillary Duff with the Europe fucking moment that I didn't get to have,
God,
but I'm
I
so
felt like
happy you did.
dude, I felt like Hillary Duff. And also, congrats, Hillary, on your new fucking album. Did you know that?
I did. I
Hillary
actually
Duff,
listened to some of the songs that she pre-released.
I haven't listened yet. I, I, I feel like I owe Hillary Duff the same respect I gave Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher album when it released. And actually, this is relevant to Jamie. I drove all the way to Nebraska from Colorado. Um, Phoebe's album dropped right when I got to Jamie's. Like literally, I got to Jamie's. It's midnight. I'm pretty sure she dropped it at midnight. And I
Yeah,
sit in the parking lot and I listen to the entire album, sobbing my eyes out under a streetlight before I go into Jamie's apartment. And then later on, I read an interview. This is totally random, but we've been drinking and doing other things. So that's why it's
this whole
after
episode's
hours.
random. Yeah,
Um, this is exactly it. But I read like an article somewhere where she said that her album was meant to be listened to in the car or like with the windows down. Like it was some sort of quote where I was like, holy fuck, that's exactly what I did. And it was
yeah.
fucking magic. Halloween, that's a good fucking hit. Anyways, I don't even know how we got onto that. Oh, Hillary Duff.
We were talking about Hillary Duff. We were talking about Jamie though initially.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jamie. But that yeah, Jamie's just breakfast shot. We're just
Yeah,
talking
which you made
breakfast
for
shot.
me. You made for, yeah, you made that for me. Right when I like fucking graduated from the art institute. It was like one of like the
Mm.
specialty shots. So you're like, I'm gonna make it and do it because you didn't do Jameson. So you're like, I'll do it with you if we do it this way. And then you made me the breakfast
Oh
shot.
yeah. That's
And I
right.
was like,
Yep.
oh my God.
Yep.
And it's funny
I
because I didn't
forgot.
start drinking Jameson till Colorado. And I really only started doing it because in my head, I'm like, all badass girls drink Jameson, like, or
But
drink
that's
whiskey. And I
true.
didn't like any other whiskey. And I was watching Sons of Anarchy and all these other shows. I'm like, I'm a badass. I'm a badass. Look at me. I moved here when I was 17. I did this. I got a degree. So then coming back here, I didn't know like what other drink of choice. And I knew that like whites kind of make me more emotional, but like browns just make me
Hmm.
happy and feel like a hug. So I was like, all right, fuck it, Jameson. Just give me Jameson and a Coke.
Last week was fun having Mel as our guest. If you were here last week, we had Mel Wu, and she is a friend of mine who I met in the military, and she kind of talked to us about the difference between hoodoo, voodoo, a little bit about Mardi Gras, but it wasn't really focused in Mardi Gras. Last week was more just about her experience. Having Mel on last week, I think, was awesome. I think it have her perspective and the things that she taught me. Like I knew about voodoo. Well, I thought I knew about voodoo. I've heard of voodoo, and I had
Yeah.
some incorrect misconceptions about it. And she very briefly went over that and talked about some experiences. Um,
No, I was saying I really think she taught me a lot, like honestly, because I knew nothing about hoodoo. I, knew the stereotypes when it came to voodoo, but like she taught me and like opened up my mind to a lot of information that like definitely like intrigued the fuck out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really and she'll be back. She said she'd love to come back on and continue and talk more and like clarify like what root work is. Because that was something that I'm not super familiar with, root work. I have an idea of like grounding to the earth, like rooting yourself to the earth. And she talked a lot about like that type of thing. So I would like to learn more. But what I really found interesting was how many memories our conversation unlocked when she was talking about D'Iberville and Ocean Springs. I I don't remember names. You don't. You mentioned that it kind of felt familiar to you. And do you want to like talk about
Yeah.
what happened after the episode?
Yeah. So like there was a point in my life, like yes, I'm born and raised from, Southern Maryland or in Maryland in the state of Maryland. But like I have moved around, growing up. Like I lived in Virginia for a little bit, I lived in Denver in my like early teens, late early 20 or late teens, early 20s, and then at one point with my mom because my stepdad was in the military, he was in the Navy for like 30 years. Were stationed and like lived in Mississippi, and I just couldn't remember the name because I was like in elementary school, like maybe like kindergarten, first grade range, like young little baby Sam.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was Mississippi because I remember learning how to spell Mississippi, which is like M-I, curricular I, curricular I, humpback I, and that's how I remembered it. So when she mentioned the spot in Mississippi, and I'm gonna butcher their name because I'm a few drinks deep right now, and it's like Delacroix or something like that, or Delaquit, like
Delacroix.
something. But either way, like it hit me where I'm like, that sounds really familiar, but I didn't know the facts, so I didn't want to be like, oh, I think that, I didn't want to call it out there. And,
Are you talking about
after the,
D'Iberville?
I don't know, is that what she said, or is that what I sent you? I maybe got New Orleans on the brain. I don't fucking know. Like I said, I'm many fucking Pink Whitney's deep right
um,
now.
I have no idea what Delacroix is. Delacroix.
I don't know
But
either,
she was talking about the
but I like it.
Pont du. She was talking about the Pont du Mardi Gras or whatever. I say or whatever, not disrespectfully, as disrespectfully as that
Yeah,
just sounded. Um, but D'Iberville was
yeah. Well,
but Delacroix,
yeah.
D'Iberville. It sounds the same.
It's
He was French.
I was a
He
kid.
was
I
French.
was a baby.
Yeah, and honestly, there might be something Delacroix might be like a smaller like sublet or something in that area. Like it's spelled like
Or I just
I
watched
know I feel
Princess
like
and the
I'm
Frog recently.
no, but like is it spelled it's like spelled like Delacroix, right?
I think so.
Delacroix.
It just, I
Yeah,
think
like
that's how
I
my,
know what you're talking about.
because like I have weird photographic memory. Like, not that I can remember things like exactly how they look, like, like, or exactly how the, like, yeah, that looks familiar.
Yeah.
But
Um
yeah, so I have a weird memory where like I see clips of things. So like my brain will take like a sentence and it'll chop it up to like really simple words. So it'll take like letters away from words, but I still know like that word is have or this or that. So in my little kid brain, it's like I try to sound it out and then I like make a thing for it. So maybe in my head I took that and then just made a Delacroix, and that's just how
well
in my head
that
it was
makes
pronounced.
that makes sense to me though because that guy wasn't he French? He was a French explorer slash colonizer.
I think
And
so.
yeah, and he found Mardi Gras means well, carnival means to shed like meat, like you're shedding meat, carnival. And carnival's that celebration, and the last day of the celebration is Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras means Fat Tuesday. That's why we make punchki. It's actually pronounced punchki, punchki, but which is weird because
Punchki. Punchki.
it has the ang a, but whatever. Um, But so long story short is you heard Mel talk about D'Iberville, which sounded familiar, and in your
Yeah.
kid brain you were saying that you remembered it as Delacroix, but D'Iberville is pretty
Yeah.
similar. That's what I'm getting at. That it makes sense to me
Yeah.
in your little kid brain, like you remembered something.
The deduction of it. But the funny thing is I after the episode I didn't think like too much into it. Like I thought about like, all right, I got pictures I can go look for and just like confirm. I was gonna look up that school I found and see if it was in that same area, just to be like, is this really? But life happened, didn't get to it right away. And then my mom randomly texted me, which, like I said, shout out to mom for listening to the episodes. And then she was like, "You do realize the place she named," and then my mom named it. She goes, "Is where we lived in Mississippi, right?" And I was like, "No fucking way." I was like, "All right." I was like, "No wonder it fucking gave me goosebumps and made me like click."
That's so crazy. So D'Iberville, I was stationed at Keesler Air Force Base in 2010. And if you go out of one gate at Keesler Air Force Base, you're like going into D'Iberville, which then turns into Ocean Springs, Maryland, which Mel mentioned. Um, and that was like the main strip. So
Yeah.
you're saying you grew up in D'Iberville?
So at this point in my life, because like I said, I'm born and raised from Southern Maryland, right?
Yeah,
My parents were never married, and they've always been like pretty good at, communicating and having split custody. Um, so I was always going back and forth between, spending time with whoever I spent time with. When I
yeah.
was younger, they had the judge make it because they were trying to figure out who had to have main custody of me. The judge made it where I had to decide. So he said, she's going to go live a month with her mom, who was married to my stepdad, and my brother was there. And my stepdad, like I said, was in the Navy at the time. He was active duty. So he was getting stationed, all places in like the United States, mostly Virginia and stuff like that. But this time they were getting stationed in Mississippi. So he
Yeah.
said he wants me to live a month with my mom, like month flat, and then live a month with my dad, who lived here in Maryland. And then by the end of like the 2 months, like I get to decide like who I want to have as my permanent residency.
Oh shit.
So this is when I was like living there at the time, and school started, so we had to go to school. I think it was like around Thanksgiving time and stuff too. But could be
And
wrong.
you went
Your
to
kid's brain, it fucking alters stuff and exaggerates stuff sometimes too. But that is during that time frame of when that was happening.
yeah. Now the military school that you went to, was it on the military like Keesler Air Force Base?
That's what I can't remember. All I really remember about it is I remember my mom has a video recording somewhere of my first day because I remember fucking my stepdad having that camcorder and
Oh
like
my
them
god,
walking
that's
me to the bus because it was the first time that like my mom could do that with me. But I was in a uniform. Like girls had to wear, like white polo shirts and like these weird skirts type deal. Like it was very like it was military, but like it was weird. It was just weird, and I did not like it at all. At least from like what my
my
little kid
god.
brain remembers. Like I was a bad kid. I
Yeah,
was a
no, that
bad
tracks.
kid.
That tracks. No, I was kidding.
Like
Like it doesn't, not a bad kid, but like you, we're not
I
meant to fit
wasn't like
inside a
disrespectful or
box.
anything. I had not meant to conform, and I also wouldn't stop talking.
Oh, that's all
So
right.
like they remember, being little like kids in classes, like your teacher would have some board where you'd have like a colored card or something, and then you would stay green, you're doing a good day, but if you turned red before lunchtime, like you got penalty, whether you had to sit X amount of minutes before being able to play and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes, this is why this tracks, because you brought this up to me before and I said, "Holy shit, when I was in tech school on Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, you have transition cards." And your initial transition phase is called ITP, and it's a red card. You can't leave base. You can't wear civilian clothes. There's other bunch of fucking shit that you have to follow. And then you
Yeah.
get to ATP, advanced transition phase. Then you get a green card and you get to leave base. You get to just wear civilian clothes and leave base. You could go to a lot of different places from Biloxi. You could go to Ocean City. That's not right. That's from I was about to say Ocean City, Maryland, but that's from Fort Dix in New Jersey. Because Fort Dix, New Jersey, you can also go to a lot of different places. But in Biloxi, Mississippi, as soon as I was able to leave base, we went to like Pensacola, Florida, Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, like
Yeah.
just a ton of places. Um, but there were also a lot of really cool things right outside of base. And a couple places that I really loved. There was this one like Thai food restaurant, and it was
Ooh.
the first time, yeah, it was the first time I ever had Thai tea. It was delicious. I don't remember the name of it because I only went there once
Yeah.
because it was a little bit farther. But my favorite Chinese restaurant that I remember one of the first times I left base. There were different gates you could go out of when you left.
Yeah.
One when you left, you were kind of like on the ocean side, but then the other one you would go into like inland towards D'Iberville, which is like kind of like Keesler Air Force Base is almost on an island, but not really. Like I don't know what an archipelago. Is that what that is? An archipelago?
I don't know. That sounds like Pokemon to me.
Wow. I need to look it up. What is a chain of islands? Is called an archipelago is a group, chain, or cluster of islands. So this is not an archipelago. It's because it's still attached to land. It might be an archipelago. I don't know. Let us know. What is it? But you had to go over a bridge to get to the mainland. Oh, so I guess it is an island. So it's probably is an archipelago. Okay, well. So anyways, go out a gate, you go over a bridge, and then you're like you have this main strip. I just remember like this main road. And there was this restaurant, and I remember the name of it because it was called Chinese Happiness.
Okay.
And it was basically right off the main, if not on the main road, out of that gate. And I remember going in there, and I kind of went through different groups of friends throughout tech school because I was there for a long time, because our tech school for my job was longer than a lot of the other. There were different schools there, so you had different Air Force specialties being trained. Their tech school was a lot shorter. So long story short,
so you got to see the flow, the come and go of all like the people that didn't have to necessarily train as long as you because they had their courses that like how I got the associates and art student, you got bachelors. You got to take some other classes and be there longer.
Yeah, exactly. So I went through a lot of groups of friends because you also like all eat in the lunch room, the mess hall or whatever, and so you meet a lot of people that way too. And this was one of the like first group of people that I went to basic with. So we went out exploring because we all had ATP. Not at the same time. If you were there shorter, you got ATP faster, which I thought was dumb. So like all the people that I graduated basic with that also got stationed there were all like going off base and like, oh my gosh, why can't you come? And I'm like, because I'm here longer, so I have to wait longer. But once we all could go out together, and I remember this was one of the first places we went, was this Chinese restaurant. And I remember it was a man and a woman working there, and there were children there. It was like somebody who was like a little girl. I think there was like 2 boys, maybe. That's all I really
like a family
remember.
like
Yeah. And one of them was like a teenager, I think, but really good food. Typical Chinese, like just good. Reminded me a lot of Chinese food from New York. And that's why I liked it, because in Colorado, well, this was before Colorado. Where did I go? Oh no, it was here. The fried rice was different in Mississippi. It's different. But this place, I remember it being good. It was Texas. I'm remembering. I love Chinese food, so I try to get it wherever I go. That's kind of my thing. A lot of food is my thing. I will get whatever. But I really like Chinese food. And Texas and Florida, and there's another place that I've had it where I'm just like, I don't know why, but it just is the rice texture is different, and it doesn't, like, it just feels like you made it at home versus you went to a Chinese food restaurant. It's hard to explain.
No, I get you.
This place did it right. Their fried rice was so good, in my opinion. That's what I remember about it, being like, this is how fried rice should taste, like this. And so that was in 2010. I was there. I left in January of 2011. And so after last week, when we had Mel on and we were being reminded of things, and you talked about your mom reminding you that, hey, that's where you grew up, and
Hmm.
that school is probably associated with Keesler Air Force Base, where I ended up being stationed a decade later, and like I had so much fun in Mississippi. I loved Biloxi. I loved the ocean. I was there right after the oil spill, so I volunteered a lot to like clean the oil out of the ocean on the beach because we couldn't swim at the beach
Yeah.
because of that. But I just think it's crazy, like that we both like had experiences in Biloxi and then met in Colorado.
Yeah. It's
Totally,
very like coincidental and of all places.
yeah. And speaking of coincidental, I was like, after last week, I was like, let me look up and see if anything crazy has happened in Biloxi or in D'Iberville, other than being named after the guy who kind of coined the name Mardi Gras, Pont du Mardi Gras, that we talked about.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe what I found. Uh, it's so sad, and it's kind of a quick story, so I figured we could just end the episode with this.
Okay.
Uh, so I left in January of 2010, this or 2011. This happened October 5th of 2011,
Okay.
some months after I left. On October 5th, 2011, an 8-year-old girl ran to a mechanic shop crying, and she was really upset. And this mechanic said that she was the daughter of Rong Cheng and his wife Mei Rong Li.
Hmm.
And I know I'm probably not saying those right, but these were the owners of Chinese Happiness, the restaurant
That you
that I would
love.
go to. Yeah, that, and I don't know for sure if these were the two that like were there, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming that if they owned it and these were two individuals that I assumed were married, like I did think that they were
Hmm.
like a family establishment. But apparently, this little girl, their youngest daughter, their youngest child, who was 8 years old, came home from school and found both of them stabbed to death. But then not only her parents, their aunt, I don't know if their aunt lived with them,
Hmm.
but they were all immigrants from China, and they had had this family-owned restaurant for a while. So I'm not sure if Mae Jin Li, who was Mei Rong Li's sister, if
Hmm.
she lived there too or was just visiting. But she was also fatally stabbed to death. And the mechanic said, who called the police for the little girl because she ran, like, I think it's next door or across the street.
Yeah.
She ran to him, and what she was saying was, our waitress stabbed my aunt. Our waitress stabbed my aunt. That's what those, and she's 8, she's in shock, obviously. She had seen her parents too, but she just kept saying that. Well, they own Chinese Happiness,
Yeah.
and so they were like, oh, maybe it's one of the employees, that
Yeah.
was
That
mad
makes the
at
most
them
sense.
for whatever reason. But what's crazy is, even though there has been, people have been called in as suspects, like employees have been called in. There was somebody that just a few weeks after this happened, they had a suspect in mind, but that suspect was cleared. They went through the employees and they couldn't make any definite connections. The night of the murders, the homicides, or the morning of, there was a gray car parked really like right up to bumper to their car, the
Hmm.
couple's car, and the trunk was open. And nobody could explain or identify who that was or whose car that was or why it was there. Um, the FBI ended up getting involved because this triple homicide remains completely unsolved to this day. They do not know who killed those 3 people, and all the children ended up in foster care because
Damn.
they had no other family here. Literally, the aunt was the only other family, and their parents, because they all came from China, so they had nowhere to go, and they had to grow up in foster care. And I think that
Jesus
is
Christ,
just
dude.
so tragic.
Especially to like still not know to this day, where you don't know if it was a coincidence, they just happened to like random killer came across the house. You don't know if it was a hate crime at the time. You don't know like a lot of shit.
Yeah. It's insane. It feels pretty hate crimey.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, and obviously we don't know, and it's sad to say that, but you have immigrants, like an immigrant family, they have a business. I mean, you could have an angry customer, somebody who
Mm-hmm.
felt like they got ripped off or didn't have good service or whatever, get
I
mad at
want to
them and
know
follow
why
them
like
home.
they didn't maybe take the daughter and like have her do like a lineup of the waitresses or something, and like have her if she's saying like waitress killed my aunt. Like okay,
Yeah. Yeah. The Sun Herald, um, this was written 5 years after, and they don't really give any information here from what I could find about like what was done in the investigation other than there's just inconclusive evidence to identify somebody. But if you were in or around Gulfport, Biloxi, D'Iberville, or Ocean Springs, Mississippi in the around October 5th, 2011, and you have any information on this triple homicide, you can call the D'Iberville Police Department at 228-392-4252 or the FBI in Gulfport, Mississippi at 228-864-6131. Because there have been cases solved much older than this.
oh
It's
yeah,
not too late. It's not too late,
that's fucking crazy, dude. And I'm sure like that area has a bunch of other crazy stories too. It's just wild the connection that you were able to find to a random restaurant spot that you just happen to love.
Yeah. Yep. And this is them.
Oh wow.
I was in Mississippi for 9 months for my training, and I went to that restaurant 3 times, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I was only there for 9 months. Maybe it was 3 or 4 times. And every time it was the same people that were there, and their kids.
Yeah,
Not all the kids, but yeah. Um, I think that's everything, though.
it's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah. So it's still unsolved, and there's no information about the children's identities or anything like that, which I think is good that they were protected, but I really hope that they had a happy life and they were treated kindly in the foster care system and that they weren't separated. I have no idea how it turned out at all. So,
My heart reaches out and goes
yeah.
out to them.
Yep. So I just wanted to double check, but yeah, that's really all the information that was put out there. The thing that's kind of also weird
Mm-hmm.
is that there isn't a lot of information about it. You have the news article that announces it, and then you
Yeah.
have an article about Mayor Quave, kind of trying to dismiss all the fear that was going on in D'Iberville after this, like
Mm.
days after the triple homicide. They were
Yeah, that's a hate,
stabbed.
dude. That's hate. That is so much. That's not just a random like act of passion or anything. Like that is legit like pent up frustration and aggression.
And stabbing is a personal way
Yeah.
to kill somebody. And you didn't just kill one person. You
You
killed
killed
two
three.
parents, yeah, and another woman who was in the house. For what reason?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that was it. That was we by the way, everybody, we came back after last night. This is the next day, and we decided to tell this story in the morning when we were not tipsy.
Yeah.
So that way we could focus on it and give respect to these 3 victims and
Yeah,
the
and the
children who,
surviving family.
yeah, yep. And so again, their names are 40-year-old Chen Rong and his wife, 40-year-old Mei Rong Li, and then her older sister, 53-year-old Mae Jin Li. So they were killed in their home. So that is it. That is the end of this episode, and we appreciate you all being here. Once again, you have any information, you can email us or reach out to those numbers that I will also put in the show notes. So, do you have any final thoughts for the listeners?
I don't really have any on this one. This story still has me pretty fucking flabbergasted, man. Like, I'm still stuck in it, you know?
Yeah.
I guess the only final thought is don't be scared to reach out if you know something, or even if, you think you know something, share it. You never know what the information can take and where it can go, and these murders can still get solved.
Yep. Yeah, it's wild. I felt so safe. I was also stupidly young and naive, but I felt so safe in Biloxi. And to think that just obviously it happened after I was there and has nothing to do with me really, but the fact that I remember the name of that restaurant. I remember their smiles. I remember the food being good, the fried rice being good. Like it was just your everyday Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
That you don't think it's like a mundane moment in tech school. You go get Chinese food a few times while you're in training and the name is kind of just common, so it sticks with you. And then years later you find out that entire restaurant was shut down because the family that owned it was murdered.
Yeah, brutally
and it's
murdered.
never been solved. So just don't take any moments for granted. Have a lot of fun. Stay up late. Drink margaritas once in a while, or
midnight
whiskey,
margaritas,
or breakfast shots. Watch Practical Magic with Sandra Bullock, Bagel, and never stop asking yourself, who are you?